another episode of the Crime and Coffee Couple. My name's Mike.
And I'm Allison.
Yeah, babe. How's it going?
It's going good.
I'm talking first. That means that I'm going to be delivering this week's message.
You are the storyteller.
You ready to just kick back and listen and be like all of our other listeners?
Got cozy socks on. I've got a blanket on my lap. I'm in good company.
Yeah, you look cozy. Since our camera took a crap, I think you've kind of enjoyed that. I did too, because now we don't have to get all gussied up for our YouTube videos.
I can look homely again.
But we are putting out some TikToks, so we'll see how those go.
Yeah, that was interesting. I did my first TikTok last week, and it was after a night of very poor sleep. And we were kind of rushed because you were leaving. And I was I felt like a deer in headlights when I watched it back. But I'm like, we can only get better from here.
Exactly. Kind of like these podcasts. I'm sure if we listen to the first one, we'd notice that lately it's much better.
Yeah.
Although we did have another podcast before this, so we were kind of in season already.
Yeah, I would say so. But the TikTok I've never done.
Yeah, you did good.
And you were a very great cheerleader. I will tell you that, because you were very encouraging to me.
You kind of kept on feeling like, am I doing it right or whatever? And you're always doubting yourself with everything.
Yeah, so. I was getting very frustrated with myself.
Yeah, you did great. You did good.
Thank you. You're very sweet.
So while you're listening here, if you enjoy this episode or if you enjoyed the last episode, if you can go on over to that podcast area for your Apple phone and give us 5 stars on the reviews, that would help us out quite a bit.
We would so appreciate it.
It'll share our message and stories with more people, which we would appreciate very, very much.
Spread the word.
Exactly. How's your week going this week?
It's going. We're recording this a little early. It's Friday for us. So we made it through another work week. We survived.
Good job. Congratulations.
Yeah. And we're recording early because we're going to celebrate our niece's, the one's graduation from high school and the other one's birthday.
Yeah. Looking forward to seeing them.
Yeah.
Those little SOBs or DOBs, I guess.
Those little so-and-sos.
Yeah. So-and-sos is probably nicer.
How is your week going, Mike?
It's good. So this is going to sound super boring, but I'm very accomplished. So you know that I put up a ceiling fan this week.
You did.
You know that in our daughter's room. So usually if you listen to these podcasts at all, you'll know that it takes me forever to do anything. Like if it says it'll take about an hour, it usually takes me 3 hours.
Yeah, basically triple it.
Yeah, and that's usually a good rule of thumb for me. Now, with this fan, I opened it up and it said, give yourself 120 minutes to do it. And I was like, whoa, 2 hours? That means I'm going to be here for 6 probably. I mean, might have to put a whole afternoon into this thing. And I put it up and down and everything, and everything worked out in an hour maybe? 45 minutes?
I was very, very impressed.
Yeah. Now, I will say, I didn't tell you this before, but when I first tested it, it didn't work.
I heard a son of a bitch or something like that coming from the bedroom.
Yeah, so I shut down the power, obviously, because I don't want to get electrocuted. And I turned it back on after I installed it, and I turned on the switch. Nothing happened. I was like, man, I did all that. I swear, I did a really good job putting the wiring together. It seemed okay. So I went up and looked at everything, and I was like, oh, okay. And I was like, oh, I know what I didn't do. I didn't try to click the damn things on the stupid ceiling fan.
Easy fix.
So the light and the fan. Yeah, but I did take it down again.
You had to take it back down.
I mean, I didn't take it down. I just kind of looked at the wires.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, no, everything's good. And I was like, as I was doing it. So.
Well, you have about one more ceiling fan to install in the back bedroom. So this way we're going to time you and you're going to beat what they say.
You're damn right I will.
Yeah, you will.
I'm pretty much, not quite. I'm not ready to say it, but I'm close to an electrician.
You really are. I would say so.
So far, I'm like a doctor, electrician, a
You're a lot of things. You're a lawyer.
Yeah. So as we learn more things here on the podcast, I'm definitely adding up all my professions.
You're the Mike of all trades.
Sure am. So.
And we've been enjoying watching Stranger Things too. That's another thing that's been going on.
What a fantastic show.
Yeah. If you're not a fan of Stranger Things because you just haven't watched it, I would urge you to go and watch, what are we on, halfway through season 4.
Yeah.
So the second half of season 4 comes out July 1st. So.
Our daughter loves it. So she was watching every single episode and we were like, I didn't really want to, get into the whole thing because it seemed weird. I'm not a big horror movie or scary movie kind of guy, scary show. But,
anything that's going to get us to spend more time together, with our kids, I'm always down for. So I'm like, yeah, sure, let's try it out.
Yeah.
And we are just hook, line, and sinker. We love it.
Oh, it's wonderful. And it gets better every single season.
So good.
So far, the season's fantastic.
I would say this is my favorite so far.
Me too.
And then, there will be one more season after this, from what I hear.
Yeah. So get in while you can. It's still not too late.
Exactly.
I heard that about Ozark too, that Ozark was really good, but we don't watch a lot of things. It's like it's a big commitment.
Well, the difference with us is that we have very different schedules. So we don't do like the whole nighttime TV watching together.
And we want to watch with our kids.
Yeah, that's the other problem is if it's got any kind of like nudity or super foul language, we can't put it on in the family room when the kids are around.
Hey, everybody's got a penis or a vagina.
Yeah, I'm sorry. No, we're not going to do that in front of our 10 and 13-year-olds.
Okay.
So I go to bed very early because I get up very early for work. So we're just on very different schedules. And oftentimes in the evening, I'm researching for the podcast.
True.
So we don't really have much time. I do a lot of watching things on my phone. I've been watching a lot of like crime stuff on Netflix.
Yeah, I put a picture of you researching one of your cases, and you are just like all in.
Yeah.
I mean, you are like pretty much any free moment you're researching some kind of case.
Yes. And it's constantly going because I'm reading a book right now that's a true crime book. And there's little bits of different murders that she puts reference to in that book. So I'm like, at night while I'm trying to fall asleep, I'm like, okay, I can't forget. I got to write it down. But no, I don't want to turn the lights on. So then I'm just saying it over and over in my head to try to remember it.
Oh, there would be no way I could remember if I was doing that.
I do like, it's the number 29. I thought, okay, I had my first child at 29. That's how I'm going to remember.
I think of sports jerseys.
Okay, that makes sense too.
Yeah.
So yeah, but other than that, everything's pretty much business as usual around these parts.
Yeah, getting to be the rainy season here in Florida, so whatever. I mean, that's not too exciting.
No, it's not exciting at all.
So if you could name the most boring thing to talk about, it'd probably be the weather.
And maybe ceiling fans.
Yeah, that's true. We had them both.
And you hit them both out.
Let's see, what else? I don't know. So yeah, I've got my cup of coffee here. You ready for a story?
Yes, but what about my Amazon addiction?
Oh yeah,
Allison's Amazon addiction.
So, and you might not buy something every single week, but we're going to find out something you bought that you might have use for.
Yes,
and we're going to put a link to it. So right now, if you look into our show notes, you can see what Allison's about to talk about.
Yes. So if you are someone who does laundry, and I suspect, unless you have a housekeeper,
or you buy new clothes every time you need something.
I don't know what, but I'm assuming you do laundry. So you know the huge tubs of like the Tide or whatever that has the dispenser, you push the knob thing, and
it's always dripping.
Yeah, exactly. So I got this thing on Amazon that it holds the plastic cup that comes with it, and you like hook it on there, and it just sits under the dispenser.
Does it work on like every dispenser?
Yes. Well, it works on those big jug dispensers.
Okay, and they're all about the same.
Yeah. And so it's really I love things that make my life easier. These little random things that just like, this is so much easier.
How much is something like that?
A few bucks.
Because I think it would probably cost them 50 cents to make.
Yeah, I'd say it was somewhere around the $5 mark.
Not bad.
But you just put your cup stays under it. You push the button to dispense the liquid. And I learned something from your mom because I'm like, my cup is always filled with like blue detergent. She throws the cup into the wash.
Oh, and it
that
washes
like rinses
itself.
it. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I was like, why is the cup always clean after she uses it? And then once I was transferring her laundry over, and there was the cup in the washer.
In our laundry, you have to close it before it pours any water in.
Yeah.
So we can't like rinse it.
That's what I used to do. But yeah, this one you can't rinse it. And God forbid I walk into the kitchen. We don't have a laundry tub, so I don't want to make the trek over to the kitchen and rinse it. So I just throw the cup right into the wash.
It helps you. So it's a nice little Mother's Day gift or for next year.
I don't think so. If you got me a clip
Father's
thing
Day?
for Mother's
Day's coming
Day, I would kick you in the shin.
That was really sexist.
Well, you're assuming I'm the one that's going to do the laundry.
No, what I said was really sexist.
Oh, yeah, very sexist.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
What the hell?
I apologize. I don't know. I mean...
Yeah. Some households, Mike, the men also do laundry.
Well, I know, and I did, and you didn't like how I did it.
No, because you didn't do it.
Right.
That's what I didn't like about it. You didn't do it.
The part that you hated the most was that it wasn't done.
It wasn't done.
That makes sense.
I was like, when we first got married, I'm like, Mike, you're going to do your own laundry, and I'm going to do mine. And we each had a basket. His would like basically be towering to the ceiling, and I'm like, I can't take this anymore.
I'm like, I've got one more sock I can wear and one more underwear under the drawer that I can find.
That's basically sums up our personalities.
Yes,
like
100%.
I'm psycho and try to like get everything done, and you're like, it'll get done.
And I'm nice and kind.
And I'm not.
Yeah.
I'm mean.
Right.
Hence the orange cup that you're drinking coffee out of.
I think our list. Oh, yeah, from our lovely little niece,
yes.
Lexi.
She's not our niece. She's our cousin.
Oh, well, I kind of consider her like a niece.
Well, she's not our niece.
I know. But I consider her closer, like almost like a daughter. So, So, you ready to get into this thing?
I'm ready.
Okay. So I am giving this week's the story here. Oh, I did want to say we covered some very important things today. Weather, laundry, and ceiling fans.
Yeah, we are super enthralling. So if you guys are still with us, we praise you.
Yes. So here we go.
And you're a good person.
Here's what you came for. I'm not going to say, okay, let's start it this way. On a spring day in 1996, on a Saturday afternoon, in the beautiful area in the small town of Wilmslow in Cheshire, England.
Cheshire.
Yep. Howard Ainsworth, 79 years old, was mowing his lawn. He had a brief chat with his neighbor, Margaret, who said Howard was in good spirits that afternoon, except that his wife, Beatrice, or B, as we'll refer to as, 78 years old, was a little bit sick. She had a stomach bug, and he had to take care of her. This was a beautiful town, like very nice, very affluent area. People here had good amount of money. In this particular area is older people that have been living there a long time. So very, very nice town. They have nice Victorian-style homes and things. Just to imagine a picturesque, beautiful neighborhood. Okay. Howard and Bea were married for about 50 years at this point, and according to friends and family, they are extremely in love with each other.
Oh, how sweet is that?
And you love
After
old
all
people.
that time, I do. I love elderly people, and I love love, like sweet love.
And it's just this is the typical old couple that love each other and hold each other's hands and
Oh,
stuff.
and how old did you say Howard was? 73?
79.
79, and he's out there mowing his lawn. Good for him.
Yeah. Hey, those that are active stay active.
That's right.
So Howard was a World War II veteran, and he also used to work as a parks gardener. But at this point, he was retired.
Okay.
Bea worked as a local funeral parlor, worked at the local funeral parlor, and she was looking to retire so that she could spend more time with her husband, Howard.
Good for her.
Yep. So obviously they're very much into each other. Unfortunately.
We wouldn't be talking about it if it was a good story now, would we?
Yep. When Howard spoke to his neighbor, Margaret, quote unquote, that would be the last time they saw Howard or Bea alive.
Or B? Mm-hmm. Oh my gosh. Who would harm these lovely people?
You'll find out. Well, maybe you will. I don't know. We'll see. So the next morning, that same neighbor, Margaret, that we talked about, she took a peek at Howard and Bea's beautiful Victorian-style home around 11:30 a.m. and noticed the curtains were still drawn. This was kind of weird because, she's known them for a long time. She knows they're go-getters. They'd be up and about doing something, and curtains at least would be open.
Well, and too, a lot of the times an elderly couple, they're very routine.
Right.
They get up at this time, they have their coffee, they have the toast, they open the drapes. So I find that, that is alarming when all of a sudden you see somebody that's so routine break that.
Yeah, and Margaret would know. She's been the neighbor for over 20 years.
And two, I find working in a hospital and speaking with a lot of elderly people, when you get to a certain age, you start looking out for each other.
Absolutely, because you never know. Something could happen.
Right. And, we take for granted, we're in our 40s, if you're younger and listening to this, we're not checking on our 40-year-old neighbor to see if perhaps they fell and broke their hip. Not to say that bad things can't happen to anybody, but obviously as you get up in age, you're more prone to falling or whatever it is that might happen to you. So I do often find that people do look out for each other.
But our older neighbors, we would definitely think that. If we didn't hear from them, we'd be like, let's go and check.
Absolutely.
I mean, death comes to us all at some point.
Yes.
So, but yeah, Margaret was worried. So rightly so. She knew that this wasn't like them because, by noonish, definitely they would have been up and about. So she went over to their house and knocked on the door. No answer. Tapped on some windows, tried to look in, but the curtains were drawn, so she couldn't see, but no answer again. So now she's really worried. So Margaret goes next door to the other neighbor, Jacqueline, and she goes to Jacqueline. This is weird. Curtains are up. They're not on holiday, vacation.
And they would know that because everyone shares everything when you're tight with your neighbors.
Exactly. And something must be wrong. Jacqueline agreed. And they were both worried at this point, so they called the police.
Smart.
Yeah.
Even just for a welfare check.
Absolutely. The worst thing they could do is come by, everything's okay.
Everything's fine. We were at the grocery store. We forgot to open the drapes. Fine.
Yep. So shortly after they called, 2 officers showed up. They went into the home of Howard and Bea, along with Margaret. They brought her in, too, just because she's a neighbor.
Yeah, she was the one that raised the alarm.
Yep. And the back door was unlocked.
Oh.
So I don't know if they just left it unlocked always or whatever it might be. They looked around and nothing really looked unusual. Nothing caught their attention on the main floor, so the police officers left Margaret downstairs and they went upstairs to check out the rest of the house. You know what's happening here.
Yes, nothing good.
So they go into the master bedroom and they found Howard and Bea Ainsworth both dead and lying in their bed.
Oh, how sad.
Yep, horrible scene. So looking at the bed from the foot of the bed.
Okay.
Bea was on the right side.
Uh-huh.
Totally covered in blood.
Oh, jeez.
The sheets also soaked in blood as well. B also had the handle of a kitchen knife sticking out of her forehead.
No.
So somebody stabbed her
Vicious.
great force right in her forehead.
Somebody that's lived their life, have been married for 50 some years, worked hard, looking forward to retirement and spending your last years with the love of their life. And this is how they go out of this world in such a horribly vicious manner.
And we'll share stories on our Instagram, or share pictures on our Instagram.
Oh.
And they're cute old couple.
I love them.
Yeah,
This breaks my heart.
You absolutely would. Like, I thought of you when I was researching this. Like, you would love this couple. So, yeah, she had a knife sticking out of her forehead, unfortunately. To the left, next to B, is Howard, and he has a bag over his head.
Ugh.
So they found a hammer in the bedroom and a note written a few hours before. The police called for the detectives immediately, obviously.
Right.
They want to research the scene to try to figure out exactly what happened. So the first thing the detective did when he got on the scene was go to the bedroom and try to find some clues like any detective would. Obviously, he found the note, and it said something along the lines of, B is sick, she hasn't been herself, she's vomiting a lot. I'm going to give her some sleeping pills, then throttle her.
Okay, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Then I'm going to suffocate myself with a bag.
Yeah, sure he did. The man that has no history of violence, they've been married for 50-something years, she's getting ready to retire, she's vomiting, I'm going to throttle her.
Yeah,
that
so
makes sense.
In the UK, throttle is choke.
Because 1 + 2 is 5, correct?
Yes.
So throttle means choke, but
Yep.
she had a knife in her head.
Right.
So that doesn't add up. None of it adds up.
Right.
And whatever person wrote that note is a friggin' moron and obviously a lunatic.
You're not going to get any happier about this whole thing, just so you know.
I'm not.
Do you know the story about it?
No, I do not. I've never heard this.
Okay.
And it's making me sick.
Yeah.
I feel to elderly, like children, like I just think they're precious, like especially like sweet elderly people, like I said, that are in love. I like look to them like children. And I'm not saying that in a demeaning way.
Well, they're
I just
special.
find them special in my heart. Like
Yeah.
they warm my heart.
Kids are special because they're so innocent. And then as
Yeah.
old people, like they've experienced so much.
experienced. Like he was a World War II veteran.
Yeah, they're special people in our lives.
I do. I feel like they're special people.
I would agree with that.
Yeah.
The nice ones, at least.
Yeah, and then the crotchety ones. Ooh.
No thanks.
No thanks. It's like, well, you were probably miserable even when you were younger.
Yes, exactly. So, besides the hammer in the bedroom, another hammer was found in the sink,
Jeez.
close to the bedroom.
So we've got multiple hammers. We've got a knife. We've got a bag.
Yep. Detectives also found some papers around the subject of euthanasia. So,
Okay.
like dying with dignity.
So the woman had a case of the vomits, and we're looking into euthanasia.
Yeah.
That makes no sense.
So, like, the kind of like that they were really into offing themselves while they were still healthy.
Not a chance. We're not talking about a terminal cancer here. We're talking about a stomach bug.
Right. Quick sip of coffee there.
Could it be possible that if B had stage 4 cancer and they made like a death pact, is that a possibility? But it certainly wouldn't be done with a knife out of the head.
Correct. So the police, obviously, based on what they found so far, think this is a murder-suicide.
Sure. That's insane.
With the suicide note and how they found the bodies.
Oh boy, that criminal got a... He really was convincing, I guess.
I picture them coming in and being like, huh, well, we got a
Well,
note. We got this. Okay.
The note says, so it must be true.
I'm wiping my hands here.
Boys, where do you want to have lunch?
Yeah, let's go to the next shop down the street. So, yeah, we still have the coroner to go through, luckily.
Okay, can you imagine the neighbors, though, would be like, are you kidding me?
Well, I don't think they would see the scene.
Well, no, but hearing what happened, of course they wouldn't see it, but knowing that he would never do such a vicious thing to his wife.
Yeah, I'm sure it was a huge surprise. Be like, no way.
No, not possible.
chance.
Not possible.
Right. So this is where the coroner's officer, Christine Hurst, comes into the story.
Okay.
She's a
Hopefully
very important
she
character.
sheds some light here.
In the UK, a coroner's officer is more of an information gatherer for the coroner. So
Okay, so
they're
she's
kind of
a coroner officer,
Yep.
so she's not the coroner.
Correct.
Okay.
She gathers information, looks at everything, advises the coroner whether or not there should be additional investigations.
Okay.
So gathers all the papers, the pictures, any kind of reports from the scene.
Doing an assessment.
Yep, the coroner's job is to look at the body, obviously all that stuff.
Okay.
So the coroner's officer is more about the other things.
They're
that
like
go along with it.
assistants, like a physician's assistant, what we would have in the U.S., kind of obviously not a coroner, but you know what I'm saying.
Well, yeah, so that the coroner doesn't have to keep going back to
Makes
police.
their job easier.
Yeah, instead of like, the policeman's out and about, like just talk to the coroner's officer. They have everything. And at this point, not a lot of women were in this job. So, this is in the 90s.
96.
Yep. So
I know that because that's the year we met.
Oh, I should have remembered that too.
Oh, I guess I'm not so important to you.
Yeah, well, I think 2002 marriage,
Well,
because technically I never thought I was like nailed
we
down.
had many years before our marriage.
We did. So, in Cheshire, the coroner's office is employed by the police. And when reviewing the case file, there were a number of red flags. Obviously, you had the suicide note and you had the euthanasia papers. But what Christine said, if you remove those two things...
Right. It's clearly a murder.
Right.
Like a double homicide, not a murder-suicide.
Yeah, it was clear to Christine this wasn't an open and shut case like they were trying to make it.
Yes.
First off, like I said, the suicide note. Howard wrote he was going to give B sleeping tablets and then choke her. Instead, B was bludgeoned at least a dozen times with a hammer.
I mean, that's ridiculous that it was ever even considered.
And it's not once or twice. It's at least a dozen.
At least a dozen times, and then you're left with a knife sticking out of your skull.
Yep. And like I said, you said stabbed through the forehead with a lot of force. That's
vicious,
a big bone. That's
vicious.
That's a huge bone in your forehead.
We have, like we say the term thick skull.
Yep.
I mean, it's not easy.
She also had injuries all over her body as well.
Oh, how sad.
Can you imagine an old lady?
No,
like,
who does this?
Sweet old lady. She was petite and everything, and just, it like breaks your heart.
Yeah, it does.
So, secondly, Howard didn't kill himself the way he said he would in the letter.
Suffocating himself?
Yeah, because I don't know if I say it later or not. They found blood on the bag, like it splattered.
Okay. So the bag was already there.
Yeah. So
while B was being
beaten and stabbed and
beaten.
whatever. Yeah. So
wow, that's really weird that this detective work was like, murder suicide.
Yeah, and I don't know if I say this later, but they ended up finding that his lips were also bruised.
Okay.
I will say it later, but
Okay.
I'll just say it again. So they found that his lips were bruised, maybe by somebody putting their hand over him, like to try to get him not to scream.
Okay.
So just a lot of things adding up here that are just like, I don't know if this is quite open and shut.
Right. Of course it's not. I mean, I would think if our 10-year-old walked into a room, they could see clearly that this isn't what the note is showing it is.
Yep.
I mean, that's so obvious. It's like laughable.
So as Christine reviewed pictures of the scene, she noticed Howard had no blood on his clothes, which is really odd for someone that supposedly took a hammer and a knife to his wife's head.
Right.
Christine also said it seemed like his body was moved after he died, because the way he was set, his left arm was kind of under his body.
Okay.
So kind of like somebody threw him onto the bed.
Not a natural place that you would just naturally fall.
Yeah, especially if he was suffocating himself with a bag.
Yeah,
he wouldn't tuck his hand under
your
his
hand behind
butt.
you.
Yes. And to her, like, it's like, this is pretty
It's
easy to
very
see.
obvious, though.
Yes.
Everything you're saying to me is just like glaring.
Now, just realize that everywhere that I read, they have a certain way that they're trying to push this to, that they think that there's no way that he did it, which I would kind of agree with after researching.
But nothing about the scene makes sense. And the fact that he's saying he wants to strangle her to death, yet she ends up being severely beaten. How did that change? How did he say, I'm going to strangle her to death? Instead, I'm going to shove a knife through her face and beat her severely.
You think he would have mentioned that in the note?
Yeah, it just doesn't make sense.
Right.
I'm sorry. I know I keep going back to it, but it's just like mind-boggling.
Hey, say what you're thinking. Everybody listening to this is thinking the same thing. So now B's body was set in a way that wasn't what one would expect if a husband was trying to let his lovely wife go gently into her final sleep. Mm-hmm. Especially you read about the euthanasia thing, that, it's dying with dignity. Like
sure, and there's nothing dignified about the way they were found.
Right. And here's another thing. She was laying in bed with her nightgown pulled up so that she was exposed from the waist down.
Yeah, as if he would have done that. Like, oh yeah, when we're found, I'm going to be exposed to the officers.
Yeah.
Never.
Not a chance.
There's nothing dignified about any of that.
So, like I said, the thing about euthanasia believers, like they're very, very, very into the whole dignified thing. Dignified, respected, all that. And like they would never, ever, ever like even the stabbings and stuff.
Never. It's a peaceful thing, and it's definitely something that happens in certain states here. Personally, my opinion is it should be able to happen anywhere you live. If you are diagnosed with a terminal illness, you know there's no coming back, and it's going to be a slow, painful death. If multiple doctors agree that this is your prognosis, you should have the right to do so. And go to a beautiful location on the beach and you take a pill that you slowly, peacefully fall asleep with your loved ones there, and you're able to say your goodbyes, you know, in the way that you want to. This is nothing relating to that picture.
Exactly. So it just made absolutely no sense for her to be presented this way. For these two supposed euthanasia supporters.
And here's the other thing. If you were the criminal, why would you do these things?
I don't know. Sickness.
And lift up her nightgown. Like, why would you have done that if you're trying to convince the or the officers that this is what it's supposed to look like?
Gotcha. I was initially thinking, why would you do something crazy? Because you're crazy. But
if you're trying to paint the picture,
cover it up.
You'd want it to look like a scene that would relate to that.
Yep.
But everything is the opposite.
Correct. So anyways, Christine brought all these things up to her bosses and the other police. But one of the problems is the police considered this case pretty much closed.
What?
Because
where am I?
Right.
Is this a joke?
No.
What?
Yeah. Because they never sent anything for fingerprints, including the bag on Howard's head.
Oh my God. They walk into a room. They find a woman with a knife sticking out of her head. Her nightgown is pulled up. She's beaten. There's blood all over. The husband's got blood spatter all over the bed with a bag on his head. His arm is unnaturally tucked beneath him. And they didn't test for fingerprints.
No.
That's appalling.
So nothing was tested, not the hammers, not the knife. The superintendent of police agreed with Christine because she's like, actually, you bring up a lot of good points here. Let's see if we can investigate this a little bit further. You know, he's kind of like, yeah, this looks like it could be potentially something more. And he asked investigators to do more work on the forensic side.
Yeah, so but at this point, is the evidence destroyed?
You have a pretty good mind right there, young lady. A few weeks later, the test results came back, and they were inconclusive.
Well, because there's probably fingerprints all over.
Yep, the bag was mishandled by everyone that came into contact with it. Same with the weapons, just a completely botched job.
I'm speechless. Although I'm not speechless because I'm still talking. But
you have a weird way of being speechless.
I do have a weird way of being speechless, but I would think that this has got to be like an episode of Punk'd. Like, this can't possibly be.
Like, where am I?
Where am I?
Right. So, another thing, after the coroner did their work, they found some additional injuries on Howard as well. Like I said, it wasn't with the suicide note. He had the lip injuries that I mentioned.
Okay.
And like Christine, you know, she'd seen a lot of things. She said this is like somebody keeping their hand over their lips to prevent them from making noise. Mm-hmm. The coroner's name was John Hibbett, a longtime senior coroner. He had a nickname, the Caring Coroner.
That's nice.
The reason he was given the nickname is because he didn't like to take long with his autopsies, or inquests, as they call them in the UK. His reasoning was he didn't want to put the grieving families through more than they've already been through. So he wanted to make it, really quick, open and shut case. Not to say that he didn't do a really good job.
Thorough.
Yeah. But he was known for taking care of things pretty quickly, and these inquests or autopsies would run pretty quickly. In this case, his opinion, based on the evidence steered by the police, was concluded that the Howard killed his wife, B, and then killed himself.
Oh, my gosh.
Case closed.
Case closed. Now, what was determined as the cause of death for Howard? Was it suffocation?
I imagine that's what he wrote down.
Right. Yeah. You would imagine if there was no other obvious sign of, a stab wound, a fatal stab wound or something like that.
Yep.
This shocks me.
So there wasn't a ton of sources for this. There's really only like one decent source, and then there's a couple other ones. But that's why there's probably not as much information. But
is this a town that is this the first murder in this town that it's just like, let's see. Yeah, everything looks good here. I guess natural causes. All right, bye-bye now.
Well, it's not a huge town, and it's not it's very affluent, at least this area.
So there's not a lot of crime, so that they're not used to investigating murder cases.
Yeah, not a lot of experience.
You would think.
Yep.
That there couldn't be.
So when bringing up the possibility of these cases being incorrectly handled, Christine was told, leave it alone, Miss Marple. It's all in hand.
Oh, that's got to be frustrating. And you're like, absolutely not. These people were savagely murdered in their beds.
Do you know who Miss Marple is?
I think so.
She's a fictional character in Agatha Christie's crime novels and short stories.
Okay.
She was an amateur consulting detective. Definitely some signs of misogyny going on here.
So she was being talked down to.
Correct. Like, leave it alone, Miss Marple. It's all in hand. Don't worry.
I would lose my mind.
And I did mention
her.
that this is a very male-dominated area, especially at this time.
So they're like, oh, look at you trying to be a little detective.
Yep.
And inside, she's like, are you crazy?
Like, am
I crazy?
Same thing. Where am I?
Yeah.
Like, I guess at that time, coroner's officers were usually like older cops that were like ready to retire. They would put them there, kind of a desk job.
Yeah.
And she wasn't that type of thing. She was a woman, so they probably looked down on her and just didn't give her the time of day. And unfortunately, maybe some of the other citizens in the area paid for it.
That would drive me insane if I knew for sure that something was wrong here. And then they're like, nope, case closed. It was just us.
Yep. So regarding that story, it's pretty much over by that point. 3 years go by.
Let me ask you this. Did they have family?
Yes.
Howard and B,
Yep.
like a daughter or a son or somebody that could advocate for them?
Yes.
Like push this?
Yeah, I don't...
Like, there's not a chance in hell my father would put a knife to my mother's skull and hit the knife into her head and then suffocate himself.
I don't know if they're being muffled by the police or not. Like, the police keep in touch with them quite a bit, from what they say.
Because I would raise hell if I was told that this is how my parents died.
From what I found, there's no interviews of the son. I heard that there's a son.
Okay.
Don't quote me on that directly.
Uh-huh.
But yeah, I couldn't find any interviews because I was wondering the same thing.
Yeah.
And like, obviously there's something going on. And especially right now when all this information's coming out, you got to think that something's going on that
we have this information available to us.
Yep. Anyways, 3 years go by. Now it's 1999. By now, Christine has been promoted to the senior coroner's officer.
Okay, maybe she could do something.
Yep. She was in the mortuary one day reviewing some bodies for identification and came across a body that looked to be a violent death.
Okay. And it probably stirred back up the old memories of this case.
Well, not at this point just yet, but shortly here. She said, I know I'm going to have to deal with this one soon. So she asked her coworker who was dealing with these others, like, can you tell me a little bit about this case? Just so she can get, a jump start on it. And the coworker tells her it was a murder-suicide.
Oh, wow. That rings a bell.
She asked where. His response, in Wilmslow.
Is this the same area?
Same town. Exact same town. She's like, whoa, you're kidding. This is a senior citizen here. This is somebody a murder-suicide.
Yeah.
Like,
what are the odds of that? Who does a murder-suicide when they're like close to 80 years old?
Right. Not many.
Not many.
I mean, not many regular people.
No, exactly. It's like,
any age.
Yeah, this is something that's just like an outlier that's happening again 3 years later.
So obviously she remembers the Ainsworth case because of how terrible it was.
Right.
And the botched job of handling it. And realizes these two cases are almost identical.
Okay.
She took out the Ainsworth file, and sure enough, it was almost a carbon copy.
Wow.
She researched all the different things.
That's insane.
It was an elderly couple named Donald and Oriel Ward. The way they were left in the room, in the bed, was the exact same thing. Oriel, the female, was left the same way with her nightgown up over her waist. Similar injuries. This time, the police believe they may have been a killer on the loose this time.
So this time it wasn't just like, yep, murder-suicide, done.
Right.
There was actually a consideration that...
Because of Donald's injuries.
Okay.
He had a lot of cuts on his arms and his hands from protecting himself from a knife attack.
Defensive wounds.
Yes, defensive wounds. So that got them thinking a little bit like, oh, maybe this is there was actually a killer out here.
Did he also have a bag over his head?
You know what? I think so.
That's crazy. Like, this killer is a complete moron.
I had looked at it. I can't say for sure. I'm not going to say for sure.
But I mean, you're leaving a carbon copy of what you've just done 3 years before. And that's just like madness to me. Yeah. Everything about the story you're telling me is madness.
Yeah. So this Donald and Oriel Ward's case was a big one because people thought that there was a killer on the loose.
Of course.
This gets out, but the lead slowly dried up.
Okay. Now, how was the evidence handled in this case?
It sounds like better. There wasn't as much details on this case as there was on the previous one.
Because it sounds like this person's a flipping idiot, and you would think they would leave evidence all over the place.
Yeah. Well, not really, because the lower floor didn't look like anybody busted in or anything.
So obviously these people were probably sleeping whenever what happened, because they're both in bed. Both women are in their nightgowns. So bottom floor wouldn't be disturbed because they're sleeping upstairs.
Right.
So that's not to say anything, but I'm surprised that the scene of the crime in the bedroom isn't riddled with evidence.
Right.
Because whoever's doing this is a moron.
Yeah, and a psychopath.
And a psychopath, most importantly.
So anyway, the leads dried up, and there's no evidence of someone else in the house. So they're looking around. They're trying to read the tea leaves here, and there's so many cases where the husband goes off the deep end and kills his wife. There's a lot of times it happens where
a person that has no history of mental health issues and they're edging on 80 years old suddenly goes off the deep end and viciously kills their wife in bed next to them and then kills himself and then lifts their nightgown up before they die.
If you put it that way, probably not.
Yeah, I would say not.
But they were kind of leaning on more like,
Yeah, it's just it happens all the time. I mean, all these men, they go off the deep end and they do this.
Right. Never entered my head, but
Mike, please.
Yeah.
I know I can be annoying and never stop talking.
Especially when you say you're speechless.
I know.
But
I love you.
I love you too, babe.
I love you so
too.
much.
Yeah. I don't want to go through the work of knives and everything. Knives.
It's a lot of work.
It is. And clean up and all that. So, no evidence and a lot of cases, like I said. And so the police kept going back to the theory that Donald may have killed his wife.
Unbelievable.
Because they couldn't find any other reason. It was kind of like the default, basically. We can't figure out why, so we're just going to say Donald did it. Right.
It was Donald.
Exactly. Now, by this time, there was a different coroner for Cheshire. This one's name was Nicholas Reinberg. He concluded that this was a murder-suicide.
What the hell?
Yep. And Donald killed his wife and then himself.
Is there money being exchanged here?
I don't. Well, some people on Reddit and things, there's all kinds of conspiracy theories, but they say, was there like police involved possibly? So,
you want to take your family on a nice vacation? Say it was a murder-suicide.
Right.
We'll send you away to Italy for the summer.
Now, just to be clear, there's absolutely no evidence that happened.
I'm not saying that happened, but something is weird here.
It's fishy.
It's fishy. It smells like dead fish.
Yes, absolutely. And yeah, so like I said, a new coroner here, and he ruled that it was a murder-suicide. Kind of seemed like the easy way to go. Just kind of lazy and like, okay, we're done here.
Well, it is the easy way to go.
Yeah. And
because you don't have to find a killer on the loose. Meanwhile, the next elderly couple are sitting ducks.
Yep. So Christine's still here, and she's like, I got to do something about this. She's like, this is the work of a complete psychopath.
Yes. Thank you, Christine.
Like the work of somebody that went way further than they needed to. And something that experts call overkill.
Overkill. Absolutely 1000% overkill.
First time I've heard of that in this situation.
I'm hearing a lot about this in my Netflix documentaries I'm watching.
Yeah, because Oriel was stabbed in the neck more than a dozen times.
So they're saying Oriel, Oriel's the female. And I'm sorry, the husband was Don.
Yes.
What was his cause of death?
They don't say.
Okay.
So she was stabbed in the neck and also beaten and strangled. It seemed like whoever killed her and B absolutely hated them. Like, it just seems like terrible hatred because of the repeated stabbings and beatings that they've seen.
Absolutely.
Way more than necessary. So, it was kind of to Christine, like, this is the work of a psycho, not somebody who loved their wife.
Never.
Or even somebody that disliked their wife. Like, you wouldn't completely go with their head and neck a dozen times.
No, you would not. Unless you were just out of your mind.
Off the deep end, and there would probably be some warning signs before that.
Right. It wouldn't be the sweet couple next door that was just tending to their yard that morning.
Right. So Christine's obviously thinking these murders are linked somehow. Not a huge stretch, and by any means. So frustratingly, not a whole lot happened after this. Same situation. The files were for both the Ainsworth and Ward investigations stayed in the coroner's office. Both cases considered closed.
I cannot believe this.
Like, you just want to shake somebody.
I want to shake everybody.
Right. Anybody there. Like, come on, open these.
Even if it was my neighbor that I knew well, I'd be like, this is not right. This did not happen. They did not kill them in such a vicious way. There's no way that this happened. Like, nobody is advocating for these people. Like, I'm so confused.
Yeah, you would think there'd be more.
No, it's just a murder-suicide.
Well, and maybe it's because they're older too. Maybe people are like,
but that's like a bigger reason why it wouldn't happen.
Right.
If you've made it 50 years and you're 80 years old, what would suddenly make you go off the deep end?
I don't know that an 80-year-old can stab somebody 12 times.
Right?
You know, like it's a lot of effort.
I guess there's certain elderly people that, if, like you mentioned, Howard was out doing his lawn.
Right.
So he might be very spry and active and agile. I don't know.
But somebody you've been with forever.
No.
Like, you know, one time and then you realize, oh my God, what'd I do? Like, not even that it'd be okay to do it once.
But 12 or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah. Just inconceivable
It's a good word, inconceivable.
they wouldn't look at these further. So now these cases sat there untouched for 17 years.
17 years.
Correct.
So 17 plus 3, because that's the first one went 3.
No,
so
17 later.
late. Okay, total.
Yeah, don't do too much math. We know we're bad at that.
I know. It's,
Just leave
we
it
don't
go-
want to make ourselves
Let's
look
just
more
say
stupid than we already
17, let's leave it at that, okay?
sound. Okay.
Agreed?
Agreed.
Sounds good.
I'm baffled by this.
So it became something that the coroners would bring up to each other every once in a while, like almost like an urban legend. They'd be like, hey, remember the Ainsworth case? Remember the Ward case?
Except it wasn't an urban legend. It actually happened.
Right. So in this police office, like they'd bring it up every once in a while. It's kind of something like a water cooler talk.
So in the meantime, though, during these 17 years, there were no other murders similar.
We'll get into that.
Okay. Because this is what's pissing me off. On top of these people being savagely murdered, this person is clearly out of their mind and out on the loose. So there's so many things wrong with this picture, but fearfully enough that there's a lunatic out on the loose that's clearly pegging elderly couples.
Yep. So around this time in 2016, a new coroner's officer was hired. Her name was Stephanie Davies, and she's considered more of a modern coroner's officer. Reason being that she's got a ton of expertise when it comes to different things like forensics, crime scene investigation.
Okay.
You know, things are way different in 2016 than they were in the 90s. They just know a lot more. And
Like when a knife is sticking out of a person's head, it might not be a murder, suicide, that kind of thing.
probably even more than that, I would
Okay.
guess. But yes, that would exactly be one of those things that she would look at more. So yeah, a higher level than Christine, when she was hired, but Christine got to work with her, so she was excited.
Okay.
So one day, Christine and Stephanie are talking. Christine ends up showing Stephanie the files from the Ainsworth and the Wards.
I can only imagine what this girl is going to say.
I picture them at like a lunch table.
What the fuck?
Right.
That's what I would say.
Right. And be like, are you serious?
You're joking.
So Christine's like, these have never sat right with me. I want you to take a look at them. Let me know what you think.
Oh, I'm sure she was so happy to finally be able to like somebody that's like seeing the light. Sensical.
And not just closed-minded and whatever. Like somebody that can actually bring a third-party view that's not knowing about this case.
Yeah.
And can go at it. So the first case she looked at was the Ainsworth case. She said it doesn't look right with how Howard's body was moved after he was already dead. A nice bonus is that Stephanie was also a blood spatter analysis expert.
Oh, that's handy. Because the spatter was on the bag that was over his head.
Yep, and all over the bed and just everywhere. Obviously, they know where somebody's been stabbed or how they've been hit.
Right, the
based on the splatter.
trajectory of where it might go.
Yep, whereas in the 90s, that wasn't a thing. So...
But physics existed in the 90s.
They did, but I don't know if that, like, maybe it was a thing, but just a very high end, in London and New York City, I'm sure they had them, but not like a 20,000 person town. So she was looking into these, and this kind of surprised me. 12 months later, it's like, I guess she did a pretty thorough analysis.
She was thorough.
Yeah, and she was new, and maybe she didn't want to make it, any waves.
Make the
yet.
waves.
Right.
Like come in guns a-blazing.
Yep. So anyway, 12 months later, Christine retired. She's just had enough and she's out of there. So Stephanie Davies was promoted to the senior coroner's officer at Cheshire.
I was hoping Christine was going to get the satisfaction of being there when something happened.
Yeah, well, she's still around. She's not gone.
Because, she definitely, I'm sure that tortured her.
Yeah, and at the same time, she was muffled. She was told to be quiet.
Yeah.
And she was.
Tough.
And yeah, she wanted to keep her job, and it's a tough situation. So as the senior coroner's officer, she decided to officially do a review of the Ward and Ainsworth cases. So she was, looking at them, but this is an official review.
Now, I wonder what the police had to say about that. Opening a can of worms.
Right. Something that they had left a long time ago. And this also makes them look bad.
Of course it does.
In a lot of situations, you'll see police trying to cover their tracks. And
they don't want to be told they were wrong. And
correct.
nobody wants to be told they were wrong, but sometimes you just have to.
Yep. So she was going to read absolutely everything from front to back. Every single piece of evidence, look at every single picture, read every single report, and look at it all. So Christine, as she was looking into this...
Stephanie?
Stephanie. I'm sorry. Great catch. Stephanie was so convinced with the evidence pointed to a murder that she started trying to figure out who may have done it.
Uh-huh.
Or at least to try to get an idea.
Right.
Like, she's like, there's a killer on the loose.
I would imagine it was somebody younger.
Yep.
Because, like we said, the viciousness of it.
Yeah, and probably some sexual deviancy, obviously.
Lifting up the nightgown. Now, did they ever... the answer here is no. They never even checked to see if there was actually sexual assault, did they?
Correct.
Yeah, I didn't think so.
No.
It wouldn't have made sense.
So she starts looking into the other cases, like you said, of murder-suicides in the country to try to find a pattern, just like they would now for any kind of serial killers to try to catch them before they strike again. So unfortunately, she found 39 murder-suicides of elderly couples.
What?
Between 2000 and 2019.
Now, all in what area?
In the country.
In the country, okay.
Yep, so that's not all of them. So they're not all related to this, but just shows kind of how rare it is that there's 40 in about 20 years.
Okay.
So about 2 a year.
And all of a sudden, yeah.
Yeah, so it's very, very rare for a murder-suicide of an elderly couple.
I would assume so.
Out of the 39 she found, about 3 cases involved blunt force trauma and sharp force trauma that matched the Ainsworth and Ward cases.
Okay.
2 out of the 3 happened a few miles away, and the third happened in Kendal in Cambria. All of them are in northwest England.
Okay, how far away was this third one?
I'm going to show you a little picture here. So I know people listening can't, but it's like...
Yeah, but you'll post it on Instagram.
Yeah, 3 of them were pretty close. The other one, maybe I'd say an hour away, something like that. So definitely doable.
Within driving.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm just going to say their names here, just so, as they're remembered. Stanley and Peggy Wilson, Eileen and Kenneth Martin, and Michael and Violet Higgins, in addition to Donald and Oriel, and Howard and Beatrice. So, and the years were 1996, 99, 2000, 2008, and 2011.
Wow.
So
very similar in nature.
Yep. And I want me to read a little snippet
I'm
of each one?
curious.
So the one, I'll go in chronological order. In 2000, Michael and Violet Higgins, the wife was beaten with a rolling pin, stabbed with scissors before her husband with Parkinson's was found dead. 2008, Eileen and Kenneth Martin. The wife had severe head injuries, cuts to wrist and neck. Husband cut his throat, slashed wrists, and hung himself.
Man.
This one and the next one are weird.
Wow.
So cut his wrist and hung himself.
I mean, that's like double whammies.
Right. And then 2011, Stanley and Peggy Wilson. Wife, again, hit on the head and face, strangled, stabbed in the neck.
Jeez.
Husband hanged himself after stabbing himself in the neck.
Oh my gosh, that's just crazy.
There's no chance
that this happened.
Right. That this is, it just seems so odd.
It does. Everything about this seems so odd to me.
Yeah. So Stephanie writes a report of her findings in the Ainsworth and Ward cases, and included the 3 extra cases she found as well. Mm-hmm. But those are based on limited information. Basically, she's saying, these 2 cases, the Ward and Ainsworth, I have major concerns over them. And based on my findings, we should also look into these other 3.
Okay.
So kind of like a, by the way.
Yes.
Okay. So while Stephanie was writing her report, she gave a draft to an officer that did nothing with it. She was kind of like, hey, can you look at this? At least we can get things started. And they're like, yeah, I don't think so.
Why?
Kind of put it away. It's, the cops, they pride, I guess. They just don't want to...
Well, but so many years has passed. It's been...
Well, not to mention people could be on the loose, too.
Right. That's the biggest concern, too, is that there's a psychopath on the loose.
Yep. And, Stephanie's starting to get a little frustrated that nobody's going to take her seriously on these 2 close cases. Then, somehow, the Sunday Times, which I guess is a big news and paper in the UK... got a copy of the report.
Okay. Well, I think that's what we needed, a little push.
Yeah.
A big push.
We don't know who provided it.
Okay.
We don't know if it was Stephanie or not, but I mean...
Maybe.
Nobody
rightly
knows.
So.
Right.
I mean, come on. Something needs to be done here.
Right. So there's absolutely no proof of anybody sending it over.
Okay.
We don't know. But somehow the Sunday Times got a copy of the report. And the Sunday Times published it.
Okay,
it was
good.
Like a shitload of pages. I think 97 pages.
The people need to know what's happening.
Yes. I think it was 97. Don't quote me, but it was pretty close.
97 pages?
Yes.
In the report.
In the report.
Wow.
Stephanie started to get, frustrated. So shortly after it was published, the police agreed to review the cases and Stephanie's report.
Oh, how about it?
How about that, huh?
I gave him a little push.
Yeah. They also announced that they'd be investigating how this report got into the hands of the Sunday Times. That's probably their
biggest concern.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's really important.
Yep. Cheshire Police said an internal investigation was still ongoing, and they wouldn't comment further on how it got outside of their walls. So they probably found who did it, but they wouldn't comment further. Also, Stephanie was put on leave.
For doing her job.
Correct.
For raising a flag when it needed to be raised.
Yep. But anyways, while putting the report together, Stephanie contacted a number of outside crime experts just to kind of get some expertise and some feedback and be like, I'm not crazy, right?
No.
Like, I mean, because like you said, you're sitting there thinking, am I crazy? Am I being
Because everybody
punked?
else is looking like that's a done deal. This is what it is.
Right.
And you're like, I must be the only crazy person in this room.
Yep. So she reached out to a bunch of other people. One of them was named Steve Chancellor in America. He's a forensic and crime investigator and has advised plenty of agencies, including the FBI, a veteran as well. He's been in investigations for almost 50 years, and his specialties are death investigations and sex crimes.
Okay.
So complete expert.
Yeah.
In addition to several emails, he also met with Stephanie in person in Salt Lake City because he said, hey, you know what? I'm doing a training thing, and you're welcome to come out, and I'd love to talk to you about it a little bit. And to his surprise, she showed up.
I would have too. It's like you'd be busting at the seams.
Well, yeah.
She did so much time. She spent so much time investigating it.
She's at her wit's end here.
Yeah, I would be too. And you want to advocate for these people.
Yeah. So after reviewing the cases, he said the chances of these two not being related somehow is very, very, very close to zero.
Yeah.
His reasons: 1, both elderly couples. 2, both dressed for bed. 3, the event took place in the marital bed. 4, no blood on Mr. Ainsworth after the blunt force trauma, which to him is just like, okay, I mean, this is definitely more to this story once you see that. 5, no history of violence with either couple.
That's what I was saying. The man that's watering his flowers isn't going to go typically and brutalize his wife of 50 years.
Yep. 6, neither couple reached out to their children to say goodbye.
Right.
I thought that was really an interesting thing, especially people that are more about dignity and stuff. They might be like, your mother and I have made a decision. We love you. Like the night before, to at least call and say, hey, we really, really love you. Like, Dad, what are you talking about? Oh, nothing. We just love you so much.
Wanted to tell you we love you.
Yes, there would be some kind of thing like that.
And why would you be tending to your yard the day before you decide you're going to kill yourself?
Yeah, I'd be taking it easy.
I mean, who cares if the yard looks long?
Right. Good point. The ladies' nightgowns were both pulled up in the same position.
Right. That in itself is just...
Like, we have a lot of that in itself here.
That in itself.
Right. And that's the thing. Both females had blunt force trauma and also sharp force injuries.
Right? That's so crazy.
We had the knife through the forehead of Mrs.
And
Ainsworth.
the hitting of the head.
Yep, and the hitting of the head, and then the stab wounds and throat from Mrs. Ward.
But then again, the guys in a couple of the cases were also like overkill too, with the slashing plus hanging.
Yep. So Steve Chancellor could absolutely not believe the police determined both of these to be murder-suicides.
Okay, good. We're not crazy.
No.
I can't believe I've never heard of this.
Because there's not a lot of information out there.
If this was a movie, I would say this was the stupidest movie I've ever seen. This would never happen.
Right. Just one of the many people that Christine or Stephanie got into touch with that disagreed. They're like, this is crazy. It should not be closed.
One would think anyone with a pulse would disagree.
And as of now, the cases are still being looked into.
Are you kidding me?
Yep.
I mean, I guess that was, 2016?
I'm sorry not to have a satisfying ending here.
This makes me very upset for so many reasons because of what happened to these couples. And then the husband's name is painted so like viciously that he would have killed his wife in such a horrible manner. That in itself is horrific, that these people died in such a horrible way, and the husband's being pinned on, or has a pinned on him. And then to top it all off, there's a crazy person on the loose that's targeting elderly couples.
Yep.
We should be very scared, especially if you live over in Cheshire.
Yep. And get this. There is a suspect the police are aware of. It's been confirmed there's a suspect, but nobody knows if they're looking into the suspect at all.
why isn't something being done about this?
It just seems like some world order should be like, listen, you got to go arrest or at least talk to this suspect. I'm sure they are. I hope. I'm not sure they are.
How would you be sure? They took
not.
multiple hammers at what looked like a clear homicide case and like put their fingers all over it and didn't preserve any evidence.
Yep.
I wouldn't be sure of anything because this is the most incredible thing I've ever heard. I can't even believe that this is actually real.
Like real life, you would think this is.
I can't wrap my heads around though that none of these family members are not losing their minds because again, it'd be like us getting a call that your dad did this to your mom and we'd be like, there's no way.
Right.
There's no way that happened.
Yep.
And clearly there's somebody that came into their home and killed them.
Right.
And then the town over, the same thing happens. How are their family members like, my dad would never do this to my mom and then kill himself?
Right.
I'm just shocked.
So the reason this all came up and the way I found it, the writer of the story that in the Sunday Times or whatever it's called, his name is David Collins, and he's coming out with a book about this case, which will have more details.
Okay, because I feel like a petition needs to be signed or something to get something to be done.
Well, this David Collins is responsible for helping to find another murderer in a very similar fashion.
Okay.
So that's why this kind of the report got into his hands, because he's a great reporter, very detailed and very, unique, and definitely somebody who wants to find these killers.
Yeah.
His book is called The Hunt for the Silver Killer.
Okay. The silver meaning elderly.
Yes.
Now, let me ask you this. Does he suspect that there's more than one murderer involved in these cases since there's a couple? Anytime you're like, if you're going to kill a couple, I would think there'd need to be more than one person.
Yeah, but they're
because while
elderly.
you're attacking the one person, the other spouse would come and try to like hit you or whatever.
Yeah, he didn't go into it because he wants to leave it for his book.
Okay, I'd be curious to know what his thoughts are on that. If he thinks it's a single person or if they're working as a pair or more.
Yeah, if this was interesting to you, go check out his book. It just came out.
That's actually very interesting to me, but I think it's just this case frustrates me so much.
You should read his book and then come back and tell us.
Yeah, I would like to do that.
And I would. It's just that I don't read books. So.
I read constantly.
Yeah, I read like internet stuff.
I don't read it like a ton of volume because I just read before bed, but I love reading. So I'm going to look at that book.
You should.
That was very interesting.
Yeah, and it's frustrating because it's just nobody's listening to the people that have facts.
But what gets me the most is that it just seems so black and white obvious that it's appalling.
Yeah, but nobody else seems to think so.
Like you said, I said that you would think this was a joke.
Right. So...
But it's not. It's real life, and these
really
people.
interesting stuff, and hopefully they find them. I have a feeling they're going to find and get somebody.
I hope so, but then is there going to be repercussions to the law office that did nothing?
If I had to guess, based on past performances, I would say any police officers that were a part of it will probably be absent and on paid leave for a few months.
Unpaid leave.
Probably, because that's what they usually do.
But, I mean, somebody who's trying to get to the bottom of this gets let go. Stephanie is just like...
She's kind of in... I think she's getting paid. I'm not sure, but she's in limbo. She's on kind of leave a little
Very
bit.
frustrating.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'm sorry if I was repetitive about the, oh my gosh, like this is just mind-boggling to me.
No, I felt the same thing researching.
Yeah, this is just madness.
I mean, remember when I was looking at you like, oh, this is interesting.
Yes, you were last night while you were doing stuff.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'll look into that book. And then, obviously, if there's any updates or if they do find somebody that they can pin to these, we'll have to loop back around and touch base on that.
Absolutely.
All right.
Thank you, everybody, for listening. We really appreciate it. And especially these lovely, beautiful people I'm about to mention here.
They're pretty amazing.
They're all amazing. Like every single one. It's amazing because they're our patrons. And if you are appreciating what you're listening to, then go follow the link in the show notes and, come become one of our patrons. Be one of these people, and we're going to mention you. Colleen, Lily, Karen, Nadine, Allie, great name.
That's a great name.
Susan, Michael, great name.
They're all great names.
Yes, they're all great names. Kayla F as in Frank, and Kayla S as in Sierra. And a lot of Kaylas out there. So, hey, if you know a Kayla, tell her about the Crime and Coffee couple.
Or if you know a Katie or a Michael or a Sheila or anybody with any name, you can tell them about our podcast.
Absolutely. We appreciate every one of you. And please spread the word. We'd love to keep on growing this thing like we are, and we appreciate you.
And if you are a Patreon member, you'll have your bonus episode, and we're actually wrapping this up and getting right into that one. So
we sure are.
That'll be available for you guys this coming Wednesday.
Yep. Anybody on tier 2 or 3 gets one every other other week, and anybody on tier 1 gets one a month.
You guys are awesome, and thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
If you like the show, please take a moment to rate, review, and subscribe. It really does help the show to grow. Thank you for listening.